Welcome to Real Marketing University with David Collins, a podcast series designed exclusively for real estate agents who are ready to level up their practice and become the go-to neighborhood expert. Today's episode is brought to you by the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing, the premier independent training authority for real estate agents working in the luxury residential market. Go to luxuryhomemarketing.com to learn more, including how you can earn your CLHMS designation, recognized around the globe as the gold standard in luxury designation. Without further ado, here is your host, David Collins.
Hey, good morning again. David Collins here with Real Marketing President and Founder. And today we have the honor of interviewing two phenomenal, humble agents from Northwest Florida, the Panama City Beach area. Super good quality minded thinking, which I know maybe seems a little off in that terminology, but they really think of their business and run it as a business. And they've done exceptionally well. Alice has actually become the #1 Coldwell banker in all of her area. So without further ado, let's meet Sean and Alice and have a great interview. And we're going to discuss with them a lot about what they do with real marketing and how Alice did become the #1 agent using our market reports. Thank you, and let's go. Hey, good morning again. This is David Collins, President and Founder of Real Marketing, and another edition of the Real Marketing University. Today we have some really special guests from the northwest part of Florida, Panama City area. I started this business in South Florida. If you've got clients moving from up north down there, these are the two people you want to have watching after your clients just because of their reputation and how well they take care of people. You know, it's always my fear as I refer somebody and maybe I'm referring it to a super busy agent and they're just that they're too busy. These guys are never too busy to work 24/7 on your behalf. So without further ado, Sean and Alice are just great, humble, kind agents. And most of us have been in this business for a long time, and that's not always the case. So I super appreciate it when I run across those qualities that they haven't lost themselves in their ego or their success. So without further ado, let's meet Sean and Alice. And Sean, why don't you start and just give the audience a little idea about how you get into real estate, how long you've been doing it, and sure, really what kind of got you going?
Okay, yeah. So I grew up in Southern California, and in just kind of a Reader's Digest version. I loved the beach, but I lived too far away from it for, a daily commute. So it was always a dream to find a place in the United States that was like Cancun. And once I found that, it took me quite a bit of time. But once I did find Panama City Beach, it was just a natural fit for me to be here. After I got here, that's when I got into real estate. Actually, an agent recruited me when I was buying my own home. And I never really thought too much about me being a real estate agent, but she saw something in me and it turned out to be a really good fit.
How long have you been an agent, Sean?
I think 2017 was when I actually got licensed. Didn't really start kicking off until I met Alice and we started working together. She's been a pro.
Sounds like maybe a little bit of female motivation, which works marvelous. I'm engaged. It, keeps me on the sharp and narrow. Alice, but hold on. Did you bring the 4 cats, or were they adopted after you got there?
So she
had one cat.
She had one, and the rest has kind of been an accumulation.
Right.
Oh, well, nice. I am a huge, Shelley and I are huge supporters of the Humane Society here in San Diego and VIP members. And so I love people that love animals. Alice, tell us about how did you do this? How did this make all sense to you to get into the real estate business?
Well, it's funny. I had no idea that I've been into the real estate market, not being a real estate agent. Worked for different companies, but the most was a residential contractor that I was his superintendent for about 5 years. After that, I actually worked for Coldwell Banker as a listing coordinator, and that's when the market was tanking. So I stayed there for 2 years. They had to lay me off. Funny story, my broker was bawling her eyes out because she has to lay me off. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. So I went and did 2 years of marketing. And a broker called me one day and said, I have an agent here in the office that is looking for an assistant. Would you like to work for her? And I said, sure, I'd love to do that. She was a foreclosure Fannie Mae listing agent. And we worked very well, which one, it was the same agent that
Recruited me.
Sean. And after, I think, 6 months, she said, you need to get your license. And I'm like, I don't want to be a realtor. This is crazy. I don't want to do that. And she's like, no, you have to get your license. At that time, I had nothing better to do. And I figured, why not? I'll give this a chance. She said, I'll pay for your classes. And when you get your first sale, you can pay me back. I said, it's a no-brainer. I had nothing to lose. I did, got my license. And right after that, I jumped right in full-time. And it's been a beautiful 8 years. I really love what I do.
Yeah, it's interesting that you have a similar motivation story of getting started. It's like neither one of us really thought anything about it, and here we are just killing it. So it's not going to work for everybody that thinks they're just going to throw their hat in the ring. You really do got to work at it. It hasn't been easy, but it has been very rewarding.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. On the previous 4 agents that we've interviewed, I was thinking about it last night and this morning and trying to put together where's the common denominator that exists in all of you that doesn't exist in maybe 80 or 90% of the other agents. And it seems to me it is the work ethic. If you're going to put the time and the energy into it. And there's a very common denominator here about a marketing background. So I imagine Alice, and I love her coming up through the business the way she did, because being a transaction coordinator, now she gets a deal. She's got it down. She probably read those contracts upside down and backwards, right? And then the marketing side. And she also, correct me if I'm wrong, Alice, but you probably got to see a lot of agents trying the latest shiny magic object or magic bullet, only to tell you 3 months later, it didn't work. So you had I like your base that you had there for a while. Now, I understand you guys were both in other businesses. What kind of lessons did you learn in other careers that you apply here that perhaps the other agents don't?
I did get a bit of advice when I first got started in real estate to keep all your plates spinning. And to this day, I still probably don't really fully understand what that means. But the takeaway for it, for me, was whenever I had a business that had one aspect of marketing that was working, you have to double down on it and you have to be consistent about it. You can't just go out and try everything. If you jump online, whether that's TikTok, YouTube, whatever, you can get all kinds of advice from a ton of different people. But unless you stick with a plan, you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to keep trying different things. So what I did was to just find things that I enjoyed doing and then stick with that.
Got it. Very, very, very well put. I think, yeah. And as far as the spinning plate, so I'll try and give you what that's, I am a huge Tony Robbins fan. I actually spoke.
Oh, good. I'm glad it wasn't you. I was going to say, oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
No, it was, and I've actually spoke on stage with him in London at the Business Mastery course. So he asked me to do that with him. But, if you're spinning a plate and it's a lot of challenge and it keeps falling off and it's not really providing you with the results, let it go. And then maybe put another plate on or something else. And as you said, which was absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure this is many, many companies outside of our industry know that if you go down a road, if you put in $1 and it brings you back 3, only thing you need to do is figure out how to find more dollars, right, to get to the 3. And so I think that's my interpretation of of what you've said there. Alice is really in relationship business. Anything you would say to the... So here's an interesting thought. I've never asked this question, actually. When you meet a client, is it 50-50 business friendship, or is it 75 friendship, 25 business? Tell me your thinking there.
That's tough.
I've never measured that. I think it's
not intentional, like
Right.
You click with the people that you click with, and you service the people that you don't click with as well.
It is true. You tend to work with people that click with you.
It's true.
It is.
It usually works itself out.
Right.
We don't have kids, so we've been fired because somebody said, "Oh, how many kids do you have?" We're like, "Actually, we have 4 cats." And they're like, "Oh, thank you for your time." And that's fine. We're not going to be a good fit for everybody, but it is really just something that works itself out, I think.
But I think what I learned the most after the years in business is to learn how to be yourself. You trying to mirror other people and try to be who they want you to be it's not going to work. You have to be yourself, and the people will float to you. The ones that click with you are going to work with you. The ones that don't, they're going to go away, and they're going to find somebody that clicked with them.
It's called the law of attraction. So it's a law of, and that is, he's out of Solana Beach. He's been around for 100 years, motivational speaker. It's not Tony, but I'll think about it later. But it's very, very true that they call it the law of attraction. I heard something here, and I might throw out a little tip. Okay, so if someone, and I've been doing this 30 years, if someone says you have any kids and they're kind of like, and what's next, right? Well, have a nice day. Just a tip, you usually take it for what it's worth. Your local school board probably will take, they have fundraisers. You give them $100. And who the principal and the superintendent are and the rating of the schools. So you say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we don't have any children, but we love Susie over at the elementary school. Because what the objection is that you can't sell homes that have children that are going to school. It's a very interesting. So anyway, just food for thought. Put that one in the back burner.
We always welcome any advice, especially from you, David. Thank you.
All right. So, I've had this come up a lot, and this is your designations. So tell me, do you actually know how many you have?
I stopped counting after 10.
After 10.
But yeah.
Got it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and again, this could be a little bit of a helpful hint, especially for those of you out there that don't have it, because Sean and Alice may. But one of the things, I worked with an agent out of Sedona, and she had a solid 10 designations after her name. And I said to her, Chris, this looks really silly, right? Because nobody knows what they mean. And I asked her, and she's a very diligent, hardworking agent. And I said, here's your homework assignment. I want you to go back and take every single designation, and I want 1 or 2 sentences after it that explains why this is advantageous to the buyer, and then 1 or 2 sentences why it's advantageous to the seller. And we created a personal brochure on her designations. One was listed buyer, one was listed, one panel was buyer, one panel was seller. And it was an amazing thing. Now, she didn't sit there and read it. She literally just would drop it off before her resume and that little designation sheet. So I'm not sure if you do it or not, but if you do, great. Let's get everybody else to do the same. No,
and yeah, it's not quite as detailed as that. We kind of just put it in a resume format without an explanation. But again, if somebody asks about it, we're ready to go to explain it. But yeah, it is kind of silly looking to list them all like in your signature or something like that.
Yeah.
So we don't do that. But if I may, I'd like to share a little story about what maybe even motivated me to do that in the first place. So when I first got started, I didn't know anybody in the county. I had just moved here. A lot of people told me this is a relationship business and it's not what you know, but who you know. Well, I didn't know anybody, so I figured I better know something. And then at the same time, somebody, a customer actually on a negotiation said, "Okay, Sean, I think it's time to bring your boss in." And I said, "Oh, I feel like I got a good handle on this." He goes, "Well, she has all those fancy letters after her name, so she probably knows a little bit more than you." So that's how it started. But I really did see the value of the education after I went and started collecting. I call them collecting designations, but it's really collecting knowledge and experience. And I'm very, very happy that I did it. Do people get impressed with how many I have? Not really. It's a small group of people, usually educators, that see the value. But once they get into the transaction, that's when they see the experience from the things that we've learned by getting that extra education.
Nice. Very, very well. Well put. Well put. I understand you're a member of the Luxury Institute. Tell me about that experience.
Very, very, very high on my list of goals, and it's not easy to achieve, especially as a new agent. I don't really consider it cheating because I did have to impress a established luxury agent in the area, but I was able to co-list my first couple of luxury properties with her in order to build trust in the community to be able to do this on my own. So there are some requirements to be able to even apply for that guild designation with the Institute. And that is one of my most proud achievements. I wear the pin on my hat, and that's the one I get the most questions about.
That's an interesting. I have a lightning round, which you guys will be in privy to, and it's a list of about 25 just really quick things, and one of them is a pin, by the way. But yeah, the Luxury Institute is a really, really good place to go, and some really unique and valuable information, especially when you're getting into that luxury market. How did you hear about Real Marketing?
I think it was through the Institute. They were doing an interview with you, and I watched a few of the different videos, and it seemed like a really good fit for the type of business model that we want to run.
Got it. And then what was your first step with us?
We were doing market reports. I believe you guys call them the dollar mailers. But yeah, so we picked one subdivision that we were very excited about farming, and we have just kept on going.
Now, I believe you're doing more than one at this point.
Yeah, again, if we're past 10, then I'm going to stop counting.
It's like the designations. Once you get after we run out of fingers, Sean goes, "That's it." I've got 20 cars, but I stopped at 10. So yeah, that's good view. And I think that is, this actually feeds right back to your earlier comment about your previous business experience of finding something that works and repeating it. And so a lot of times, every time when I do a live seminar, which could be an hour and a half, I always say, if you can't step and repeat something in this business, it's a hobby. So if I can't take what you do and go across town and repeat it and get similar results, it's probably not a good place in your business plan. The other thing I really want to commend you on, and that is partnering with another luxury agent with one of your listings and giving up a portion of your commission to learn. And I've seen so many agents that they get that first luxury listing and they're going to do it themselves, and the greed kicks in and they start doing the math on the commissions, and they don't understand that by partnering with this other agent for 1, 2, 3 listings, that you're going to get 6, 7, or 8. And the other ones are going to end up being one-hit wonders. That's just exactly anyway, I do a lot of marketing in Paradise Valley in Scottsdale. And everybody claimed that there was this one group that dominated the market. And 80% of their agents did one deal a year. So I call them, one-hit wonders.
Yeah, I really saw the value in doing that because it seemed, at least in our market, every seller at that level, they want to know, have you done this before? And when I could say, absolutely, my team has done this, that's a shoe-in.
That is a really good point. And it's almost like you read my my lightning round. And that is,
oops.
Yeah, no, that's it's a hidden document. So you've got the mental capacity to see through things that perhaps others don't. So a little edification for all of our listeners. the number one concern of a homeowner in the non-luxury market is, have you ever sold anything in the neighborhood? The number one concern in the luxury market is, have you ever sold anything in my price point? And so by partnering with these people saying that you have sold on their price point, you've actually addressed their number one concern. So it's pretty good. I've got a note here in front of me that says you're doing 9 neighborhoods. And give our audience 9 neighborhoods with us. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to go back to the dollar report. So the dollar market report, so people get an understanding of it. We'll pop one up on the screen here. It's 4 pages on cardstock, full color. So that's produced for Sean and Alice every single month for $1 plus postage. Yet you can't have one side copied on cheap paper at Kinko's for $1. So it's an incredible value. And I think that the value or the expense and then the sale, which is the reward, gives you such a great opportunity to expand into other areas because the profit or the ROI was so high. And we do have that one that's $1 plus postage, and then we have a custom one that I think is about $1.89. But for what you're doing, breaking into new markets, you're right down the right path. And I would never, ever talk to you about doing anything that I didn't think was beneficial to you.
I remember in one of your interviews with the Institute, you said if you have some money set aside, go ahead and start one campaign. If you don't have the money set aside, borrow it or find it somehow. And I'll tell you, it wasn't, I didn't take that as gimmicky or anything. It just showed me how much you believed in your product. And now I'm a believer with experience of it as well. So I'm very, very happy with the product.
Well, thank you. And I think that, again, another good business lesson here. I think we seem to be in a higher level business conversation here than your typical lower level real estate thingies that go on seminars. I always try and help my agents as like you did. You had a community, you did in a neighborhood, you probably got a sale, and you didn't go buy a brand new BMW. You put a little bit of that money aside and check out a second community. Well, now you get 3 listings up to 2. You could get the Beamer, but you did it. You went, and now you're up to 9 communities. And if you want a nice car at this point, I'm going to say, okay, go for it.
Okay. Well, I think we have a couple more in the queue, so we're
all right. Well, let's get those knocked out. All right. So when it comes to marketing, the more you put yourself out there, the stronger the relationships become with your target audience. What other marketing tactics do you utilize other than our market report?
So we actually have a YouTube channel. I'm going to say we are the biggest real estate YouTube channel in Northwest Florida there. I'm not going to pull my punches. We're the top dogs for YouTube in Northwest Florida. We actually do cover market reports based off of the information that you guys make so handy for us. So, we'll read our market report and then serve it up on YouTube. So if maybe you're thinking about investing in that community or in that building, it's available to search worldwide. It's actually, it extends our purchase investment, I would say, to syndicate the content in a different way. So we do a lot of video. We do condo tours, home tours, subdivision tours, all video. Yeah.
Then do you share those YouTube videos in listing presentations?
Honestly, our listing presentation is just more trying to figure out what the needs are of a seller and then what our plan would be to address those needs. We don't really go in with a lot of flair, or maybe we should, but we do pretty good when we get there in person. People are usually happy with our marketing plan and what we're going to do, but it might be nice to bring in a tablet and show a YouTube video or something.
I think that, yeah. And again, just a little on the coaching side here again, international exposure is the number 3 concern of a seller, and they may not ask you. So I don't think you should go through, 50 of them. You could just say, even a 10-second clip, here's us on our YouTube that goes out every single month. There's 9 of them. There's 14,000 views. Done. Like 30 seconds just to address that issue because it is a concern of theirs.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna throw out another tip for you guys because I like you a lot.
I'm glad we're recording this. I'm going to make note of all of it.
Their number 2 concern. This is a strange one. Most agents don't know this. When you go on a listing appointment, the number 2 concern of that seller is your ability to negotiate. And so what I teach our agents and my clients is that change your language about you sold a home to you negotiated the sale of it. 2-3 times max. More than that, it gets obnoxious and obvious, but just try and very gingerly put it, we negotiated. The negotiation on that house was tough, but we got it, right? So you're nice. It's just a great little tip. How did you pick your neighborhoods? I mean, I know you got the first one, but how did you it certainly wasn't a dartboard.
Right. No, that would be kind of reckless because I'm terrible with my aim. So we took a look at what had high turnover, and then we also looked at price point. Another factor is, do we want to drive that far? So there's a few different factors there. If we mail to a community that doesn't have a lot of turnover, the price point is usually high. If there's a lot of turnover, we're not too picky on the price point because the volume is key too.
And the knowledge.
Oh, yeah. I keep answering all the questions. Please jump in.
Sorry. Yeah, the majority, of course, all the neighborhoods that we pick is something that we do have the knowledge of what's happening there. And it was beautiful to put that into paper and just let everybody know what's happening.
Right. Yeah, there are communities that we're already very familiar with. So it's the transition to marketing it or having a conversation about it is a lot easier than picking some random neighborhood that's outside of our market.
Right. All right. So either we're getting close on time here, but so two-part question. What kind of response do you get with the market report? And more importantly, is it on the table when you show up?
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes they're all marked up with little circles. People are finding what's closely comparable to their unit or their home. And if we, obviously getting the listing appointment is the main goal, and that's always a delight. But we actually get phone calls of people saying it's the best marketing that they've ever received for their community or their building. And they thank us so much. And
they're prettier.
They're pretty. So, it is a point of pride in our marketing, but at the same time, we know a lot of these people that are just grateful for the information already have relationships with other people, but or other agents, but those agents might move away or retire. So it's nice to just keep the consistency going of providing value.
So, all right. So we talked about
Never know.
The top 3 concerns of a listing agent now or a seller. Here's the top one, and it's why your piece or our pieces work. And to my staff's credit, we did 880,000 market reports last month alone.
Nice.
Almost 1 million market reports. So number 1 concern of a seller when listing is neighborhood expert. And according to NAR, these are NAR statistics, not mine. And according to NAR, 78% of homeowners say they would work with the neighborhood expert over Aunt Susie. So what you've done here with the market report is you're portraying yourself as the neighborhood expert. And obviously it's working for the two of you. Any closing thoughts, maybe for new or experienced agents?
Well, I was going to ask you if we could get that list of 22% of people that won't use Aunt Susie, but you guys haven't figured that out yet. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, David?
Yeah, no. Is there anything in just closing, any advice you would yield to maybe a new agent and maybe somebody's more experienced? Like I always get this in so many years of doing it. These agents that get to about 4 or 5 million in sales a year, and they're just stuck. They never ever climb. And you may be going up past that or through that or already past that by now. So, but just a little bit of advice that you might, wisdom.
I'll say one of the things that worked very well for us was to start working together.
Nice.
I was already an agent for years when I met Sean, but we really got to complement each other. I love the paperwork part. I love the contract part. And when I first met him, he's like, have you done this? Have you done that? And I'm like, no. Do you do videos? I'm like, no, I don't have that capacity. Don't have the understanding. And it was just a beautiful.
Yeah, we play to each other's strengths. And I think my advice for anyone that's just starting in the business would be similar. If you have all the skills already to go A to Z and that's what you want to do and you want full control, then go for it. But I really think that if I would have started with a team or working with Alice in my first 6 months, I would have closed way more than I lost. And people can see right away when you don't have the experience and you lose them. Granted, I was working with mostly buyers at the time, but if you've never had a listing, it's hard to get your first. So my advice again there is, whether it's luxury or otherwise, to co-list your first couple of listings with somebody and really gain the experience and then go out on your own. Now, as a little bit of advice, if someone's looking into getting your product, I would say don't use your GoPro or your cell phone with your thumb over the lens and submit those photos. Get high quality professional photography, because that will really make you guys present beautiful layouts, and you do have stock photos, but if the photography that you supply to Real Marketing is just at a whole nother level, that'll bring your mailing campaign to a whole nother level as well.
Yeah, and I think that and when I first started it, Sean, 30 years ago in Boca Raton, I would sit down and talk with you. We would pick a community. I'd jump in my car with a very, very high-end professional camera and go photograph the community, go back and design the piece, and then stay up all night printing it. I slept on the couch next to the press, because when a press goes sideways, it makes a lot of noise.
So there you go, everyone. If you mess up, David is going to slap you and fix it for you.
We're going to get you straight. Again, for those of you who have clients that are looking to move to Northwest Florida, especially around the Panama Beach area, these are your go-to people. As you can tell, I don't think I even needed to say that, if I'm going to put my sister or mother in a car with two people or one of you, these two people are the people I would go with.
David, just one more plug, if I could. Alice made #1 with Coldwell Banker Realty for all of Northwest Florida, not only in volume, but as a listing agent. And we firmly believe that it has a large part to do with what you guys have produced for us. So we just want to say thank you, because you guys are part of that achievement.
I really appreciate it, and wholeheartedly. Yeah, I'm welcome. I'm happy for you. And it's interesting, I'll close with this. The last 5 agents we've worked with, almost all of them have that same statistic of being #1 in their marketplace. So thank you again. We look forward to working with you. You're at 9 communities. Next year, we'll talk about 18.
Okay.
All right, but no, because you said something earlier, Alice, that I want you to remember, and that was lifestyle. So don't, if I can be a little psychologist here or a coach in this, get to a place where you're financially comfortable, you've got it, and then I know I'm shooting myself in the foot here, and then enjoy your life. Even if you do the more market reports and hire other people to do it and split it with them, right? But don't let this business eat up your life. And
yeah, we're kind of turning into Pokemon collectors.
Yeah.
Collecting all the neighborhoods.
Yeah. Can I ask a personal question? Sure.
I may not answer it.
You don't have to. Are the two of you in a relationship?
We are married.
Oh, well, wonderful. Now, for sure, don't let this business ruin that relationship.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to be able to work together and enjoy what we do, but you're right. There needs to be a balance.
It helps that both of us in the business, because we understand the pressure. We understand that some days you have to work all day and all night.
Yeah.
But then we get to take the days off together. Right.
Try and do that. And if you can, there's always this thing called date night. And
right.
Don't give it up.
Let's have date night tonight.
That's it.
Cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you again, and we will talk soon.
Thank you, David.
My pleasure. Hey, good morning or good afternoon, wherever the case may be, wherever you're at. So as we early on in these podcasts, I gave you a list of a lightning round, and it's about 25 things. And I promised to dig into each one a little bit further. And we're just going to cover maybe 3, maybe 4 at the most, depending on how long they are. Don't want to bore you, but it's really, really good, valuable information. I call them tips. Because there are things that most agents don't do, which can really tip the scale in your favor in a listing appointment. So the first one is a realtor pin. Now, I know realtor pin, just a little R. I don't like a big name tag with, Century 21 across the front of it, and your name. Just a realtor pin. And I'm going to give you an example. I was on an airplane from San Diego to Palm Beach in Florida, and sitting alongside me was a young lady who was an attorney looking to sell a $4 million house. And asked me if I was in the business. I said, no, but I work with some of the best in the industry. And I ended up referring that $4 million listing out. I would happen to be at a convention that day and speaking, and I left the pin in and totally forgot about it. So just a nice little tip. And if you're out and about, I think that's always a nice little thing. And it's not obnoxious. I try to be subtle if I can. All right. This is another one that's, I think, very, very important. This podcast is being sponsored by the Luxury Institute. I do a ton of work with them. And one of the things I work with all of their agents is there's the luxury market and the non-luxury market. And I think it's very, very important that you brand yourself differently in each market and don't ever feed one market. 99% of the time, you don't feed one market information about what you're doing in the other market. And I'll give you a classic example. I had a gentleman, I gave him the advice, and he marketed with us for a couple of months, wasn't really getting the advice results he was looking for. And I looked at his market report, and he had $600,000 listings and $1.5 million listings. And he insisted on it. And I said to him, look, it just doesn't work. And finally, after 15, 20 minutes, he goes, David, you know what? When I go on the $600,000 listing appointments, people are like, oh, you don't have time for me when you're selling that $1.5 million listing. And when he goes in the $1.5 million listings, he was getting comments like, well, you work in that other market, that's really not us. And so we broke his market reports into 2 different price ranges within the same community. It's a very large community, and it's actually working a lot better. I'll give you a classic example, and that's Lexus and Toyota. Same company. You never see the 2 mix each other. They're always marketing themselves separately, and it works really, really well. This is a pet peeve of mine, and that is showing up at your friend's house in casual wear, workout clothes, jeans and a t-shirt, even if that's how you see them in your social life. I play a lot of golf. If I was an agent, I would not show up at one of my golfing buddies' homes in my golf attire. I would always have a jacket, nice pants, and a dress shirt. Here's the why. He and her are probably going to list with me because we're friends. But here's what they're not going to do. They're not going to refer me to the neighbors or their boss in fear that I'm going to show up the same way. It's absolute. I've worked with hundreds of agents. I cannot tell you how many comments I get about people showing up at their friend's house dressed professionally. I say to the nines, but we don't want gaudy jewelry or any of that stuff, right? But just dressed to the nines. Ties are kind of a thing of the past. I wore them for almost 30 years. Just recently stopped, as I think it's quite all right now. But I'd always have a jacket on. And they show up and the friends are like, oh my God, wow, you look amazing. Well, this is how I show up at your house, and this is how I'm going to show up at your friend's house when we professionally market it. So just another really, really good tip. It's a little extra work, but it is really, really worth it. And then lastly, I'm going to go 2 more. Networking with trust attorneys and CPAs. If you have our market report, just pick a handful. Doesn't mean to be thousands. You could pick 25, 50, trust attorneys and CPAs and have us mail them your market report every single month. And they're going to be like, well, certainly they're going to pick it up and go, why am I getting this? Go look at, you may have some clients that are in need of an agent. And we just wanted to show you that we are by far the best in this area. So it's it's a little bit of a creative marketing strategy that probably very few agents do, unless you work with us. Of course you do. And then the last one is, and I'm going to leave this as a story. In my entire career as running these companies, I was exceptionally busy. I was single most of my life, and I dated one agent. And I dated an agent here in San Diego, and everybody knew what I did, and I felt it was critical to make her successful. And so we actually picked the hardest market you can imagine, oceanfront homes, because everybody and their mother wants to market those houses just on the ocean, not across the street, had to be on the ocean, right? So we're portraying her as the oceanfront expert. It spanned 6 cities. Long story short, we're driving down the freeway and her phone rings. She's in the passenger seat. She picks it up, looks at it, and it says unknown. And she puts the phone down. And I have no temper at all, but I was clearly not happy. I said, do you realize that we spend, $500 or $600 a month marketing you so you get that exact call? I'm trying to get you phone calls from people you don't know. I get the spam calls that are coming in. I have 1,800 clients. I'm the owner of several businesses. I get as many, if not triple, what most people get on spam. And I always answer the phone. And the minute you hear that, a phone bank in the back of the room with 50 other people, just hang up. But remember that. If you start marketing with us, the goal, the objection is to get that unknown phone call. And then you get the listing. And now you have another person to add to your personal sphere. And of course, they have friends. And this is how you grow your business exponentially. Thank you for today. We will be back next week with another podcast, and we've got some great agents to interview and introduce you to. And I think you're noticing a pattern here again with the agents that we interview. They're all hardworking. They're all actually nice. They have a good attitude, and that's how they treat their clients and other agents. And I've got a really great assistant here, Rachel. And Rachel, I want you to add to our lightning round, treating other agents nicely, and then put Alex Curcio. I'm going to tell you one of the greatest stories ever about how you treat other agents and how it can pay off immensely, especially if you're successful. Anyway, thanks again. My pleasure, and we'll see you next time.
This has been another episode of the Real Marketing University podcast, bringing you the new real estate success stories each and every month. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're interested in learning more about real marketing, please visit realmarketing4u.com. That's realmarketing4u.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe now on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We look forward to helping you on your journey and becoming the local neighborhood expert. Thanks for listening.